To start the show, we're going to do a little segment called Do You Care? I'll propose a topic that has happened over the last few days, all these of the quote variety, and you
All right.
guys, if you guys care about it, then we'll talk about it. If not, we'll move on.
That sounds very fun. I'm very intrigued for this. Let's go.
So the first thing that we're going to talk about, that I'm going to bring to you guys, is the whole Patrick Beverly and JJ Redick Clippers back and forth. Basically, if you guys don't know what we're talking about, JJ Redick went on either his podcast or on ESPN and
It was
said
first take.
it was first take, and basically said Doc Rivers does not take accountability, and he's shown that
One
in all of his
hundred
coach
percent.
in all of his coaching stops. Then Patrick Beverly goes to Twitter and says, "This man Doc actually saved your career, started you when no one else wanted to, and you retire, go on TV and say that." JJ Redick replies, "LOL, Pat, my guy, I had a 4-year offer with a player option for the same money to be a starter for a different team." And it just goes back and forth. We have guys like Austin Rivers, people coming up from the
Oh,
depths
of course,
of the
Austin Rivers.
ground, like Spencer Hawes, we haven't heard from Spencer Hawes in like 8
What's
years.
Spencer Hawes got to say? What's he got to say
Cavs
about this?
legend.
I think Spencer Hawes was basically defending JJ. Austin Rivers was obviously defending
Thank
his
you.
father.
Is that right?
Oh yeah, because
And Richard Jefferson, I hear, was just caught in the middle because he's friends with Pat Bev and JJ Redick.
Well,
And he's
Richard
just getting texts
Jefferson-
from everybody.
Well,
He's
Richard
friends with
Jefferson
everyone.
was on Patrick Beverly's podcast when this was all happening. So, what do you guys think about this?
I think Pat Bev is wrong. I think JJ's right. 'Cause
Pat
Pat
Bev
Bev's an idiot.
Pat Bev hater.
No, I
So,
mean,
What was the context of
saying,
this?
saying nobody else is going to start an 18-point per game sharpshooter is just stupid. There were plenty of other teams that would have given him that same money, and Doc was starting best available. JJ was the best available person to start.
The only reason I do agree that like he should have started JJ, but like he wasn't the best available. Like Jamal Crawford, but Jamal Crawford's like the best six man in league history. So like you're gonna bring him off the bench.
I don't know why my camera's going out of focus for the YouTube viewers, but
But
Nick,
that's what,
you were wondering the context of why JJ was saying that, or
I was wondering what Stephen A. and his conversation was.
so essentially they were doing a segment on First Take where the question was, in the Eastern Conference, are you taking the Celtics or the field to come out of the East? So JJ went on and said that about the Bucks and about Doc Rivers. And
Oh, okay.
honestly, I agree. I mean,
I agree.
if there's anyone that's gonna know, it's gonna be JJ Redick more than Patrick Beverly, who wasn't in the locker room really during those struggles with the Lob City Clippers. But even then, like
Yeah.
he was on the bubble team that blew a 3-1 lead to the Nuggets. So I don't. He's just doing this because he's now in Milwaukee under Doc Rivers and he's defending his current head coach. That's
Well,
really
yeah.
all it is.
But you have to if you're like a Pat Bev guy, you do have to do that. You have to defend your coach. So I don't fault Pat Bev, but I agree with JJ.
I don't fault Pat Bev either, but I don't know how much I agree with JJ because even if he is right, and I think he would know best, he has built a good reputation and like trust with a specific audience. But going on TV and like having this moment is how you lose faith in some people who maybe don't see Doc that way. Like a lot of Bucks fans, I don't know, they might be looking at JJ a different way
Even
now.
Celtics fan, a lot of people
Yeah.
will be looking at it and be like, "Yo, Doc's a good coach. What do you like? He was your coach. Why are you bad mouthing him?" It's almost like a Kendrick Perkins situation where you're just trying to make headlines and stirs.
And I am one of those people who JJ like I
Yeah.
trust his take. Like I think he's probably right on the money about Doc. And the thing that Spencer Hawes said, he was actually responding to Austin, who was backing up his dad, and Austin said JJ's best years were with the Clippers, and Spencer said that's inaccurate. But if we want to talk about someone whose career got saved by Doc, and then
Literally
and
you,
put
like
yeah,
literally you, like he had done nothing in his career before he ended up with the Clippers, and he got a bunch of minutes. Like, and since his Clippers days, he had one and a half good seasons for Jackson's Houston Rockets. But other than that, there's really been nothing from Austin Rivers in his career. And JJ Redick, his best years of his career were with the 76ers after the Clippers, in my
and
in
he
my
made it to
personal opinion.
he made it to the conference finals with the Magic too.
I was
he
about to say,
good.
I liked him in the Magic. He was
Great
crucial for that team.
Yeah, the only thing was Stan Van Gundy wouldn't play him as
Gatekeep
much
them, yeah.
because he was a big guy on defensive matchups, and obviously JJ is a sharpshooter, not that great of a defender. But even saying that he wasn't going to start anywhere else, like JJ's been quoted on his podcast, like when his first deal with the Magic was up, he had a deal all signed up with the D Rose Chicago Bulls to be their starting shooting guard, but the Magic matched the offer for the Bulls, so he had to come back. And then when that contract was up, he was all set to go to the Kevin Love Minnesota Timberwolves and start, but he picked the Clippers because he wanted to feel a relevancy that he didn't feel once Dwight Howard, left the Magic and all that sort of thing. So that to say that he wouldn't have gotten an opportunity anywhere else is just ridiculous because that's not true.
Well, Pat Bev was also. Who else was he talking smack to? He was talking. Oh, Kyle Lowry. I'm like, dude, shut up. Like you're just like Pat Bev is so irritating. Like he's not gonna get much PT for the Bucks. He's behind Dame. Like
Yeah.
Pat Bev's never like JJ Redick made more money in 1 year than Pat Bev's probably made in most of his career with the Clippers that year.
Yeah,
and
very true.
Dude, he's like a chihuahua. He just doesn't shut up.
All right.
Well, we obviously all find this interesting because all have a lot to say about it because it is a very interesting thing that at the end of the day really doesn't mean anything at all, but it's just fun to talk about.
Most definitely.
So much fun to talk about.
It's just fun drama between like a pundit on ESPN and a teammate or a guy on a team that's not the Cavs. So I find it hilarious.
Yeah. Moving on. The next part of Do You Care? Let's stick with the Bucks. Doc Rivers during All-Star Weekend went on SiriusXM NBA radio and said, quoted, "Personally, to be honest, I told Bucks ownership when they called me, I don't understand why you're doing this when hiring me. And one of the things they said was, well, it doesn't matter. We've done it now and we want you. And that was a tough one. That's where you had the hesitation." What do you guys think about this? Or do you guys care at all about
Doc's
this?
a loser. Doc is.
He wasn't saying because he was hired. He was saying like, why did you fire Adrian Griffin? Because he said like, why would you fire Adrian Griffin? Because like they were like one of the best teams in the East, even though their defense sucked. But like, you got to try to roll with it.
Sounds like he's not confident. You want your coach to have confidence, but he just doesn't seem to have confidence at all. I don't know.
I agree.
It definitely shows how they've started with the Doc Rivers era.
It definitely
I don't know why.
It definitely sounds like he's literally just saying, "Why'd they pick me to do this?" Like
he's trying to make it seem like he kind of saw it coming that they were going to start off bad or even be bad. Which, like, I don't know.
Well, when you get thrown into the middle of a season like this,
so
your team's on a downward slump already.
And by the way, I think the answer to that question is they just wanted a guy with experience.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, we talked about it a bunch when he was hired. So the Bucks, I believe they are 3-7 since Doc Rivers has been hired. And looking at their stats in those games, their offense has taken a huge dip. They've gone from I don't remember exactly where they were when they did the move, but I'm pretty sure they were still top 10 in offense. And in the last 10 games, they have a worse offense than the Detroit Pistons. They are the 8th worst offense, but the defense, which was a huge problem, they were bottom 3 in most defensive categories. They have jumped up to 10th in defense. So that part has worked. The results have been very mixed so far since they've made the move, but I think that the All-Star break definitely came at a good time for the Bucks where they can regroup. You have Dame, who's had a rough, really first season with the Bucks going into All-Star weekend and having probably the best weekend of anyone as far as winning the three-point contest, All-Star game, MVP, coming back with more confidence, and we'll see where the Bucks can go from there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Final quote. It's another one from the Eastern Conference, and let me see if I can find or I don't need to find the exact one, but basically, Jason Tatum saying in an interview that he feels like he is the best player on the floor when he steps out onto the floor every single night. Do you guys care? What do you guys think about this?
I mean, it's confidence. I like it. He has confidence in himself. He feels he's the best, so he plays like the best. Usually every game he's arguably the best player on the court, unless they play obviously like the Thunder or the Mavericks or like the Sixers or the Nuggets.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, yeah, like 90% of the time he's right about that. 90% of the time he usually is. So I like the confidence. Doesn't ruffle really any feathers.
Like, where does he rank? I'd say he's top 5 or 6. I mean, it's not in order, but Shea's above him. Jokic is above him.
I think I did this.
Him.
I think he'd be 7. I think.
Okay, so
yeah,
Jokic,
but like right around there.
Shea, Luka. Who else?
I don't know, but
in order, Shea, Jokic, Embiid, Luka, Giannis.
Yeah, Giannis. So he's probably 6.
Yeah,
Zion,
6.
Ja.
What is going on? What is going on? Anyways. I think that
there's no way.
Honestly, I think that that feeling or him thinking that he's the best player is definitely warranted because
he deserves it.
Even those players that we mentioned that are obviously better players than him, he's when he's had to play against them in the playoffs or gone head to head, he's been better than them in certain series and gone head to head with some of the best players in the game. Like he went head to head with LeBron his rookie season in the conference finals. He scored 40s and 50s against Kevin Durant in the playoffs. He's against the Sixers.
Last year against the Sixers.
Yeah, Game 7 against the Sixers, 50 points on Joel Embiid's head. He's gone head to head with playoff Jimmy. I know last year was a major disappointment, but the year before the Celtics beat the Heat, and he was a big reason. So against high level players, he definitely steps up to the plate and shows that he can be the best player on the floor in any game and in any series that he's involved in.
So this segment's called "Do You Care?" I do not care, but I do think it is perfectly rational for him and many players in the NBA to have that kind of mindset every time they step on the court.
Yeah, but if Dylan Brooks says that, we're gonna have a problem.
Well, there's no one better at being Dylan Brooks than Dylan Brooks.
That's true.
That ain't wrong.
That is very true. Like the way I was thinking about this too is like, okay, even if you don't agree with this statement, if the star player on my team doesn't have this confidence, then there's a problem.
Facts.
Yeah.
There's a major
problem.
Unless,
of course, it's Jokic, because Jokic just goes on the court thinking about his horses.
Yeah, the horses are the best players in the league.
I'm the greatest horse racer ever.
Right, but that was Do You Care? Just a few segments or a few
I cared
quotes.
very much, Miles.